hello students. Remember, before you start anything for math, you need to take the student voice survey first. You're going to go to Infinite Campus, log on like we talked about yesterday using your Infinite Campus login. Take the student voice survey. It is under where it tells you where your messages are. So look for your messages. Once you get on there, it'll be your second period student voice survey and your 7th period student voice survey. Only your 2nd and 7th. Once you are done with that, then you can move on into this video. If you have not done that yet, pause the video and go back and do that now. Alright, so today is the very last day for our Unit 3 Part 2 test review. Please make sure you're following along with the video and you're taking notes and doing the problems as well as you can. Remember, all of these problems will be on your test tomorrow. Today's work, you'll need a piece of paper, a pencil, and a calculator. I know you're not in our classroom today, except for 3rd period, but if you are not in the classroom and you need a calculator, use your phone today or the calculator on the computer. Tomorrow, you have to use a normal calculator. Alright, please make sure today and tomorrow you are paying attention to the directions. The directions will tell you exactly what you need to do on all the problems that you're solving. If it says factor the common factor out of each expression, that means you're factoring out the GCF, the greatest common factor, and writing the factored form. That means you're not doing that whole process of making the table, splitting the B, finding the GCF, and so on and so forth. You're doing like the first problems on our review yesterday. When it says factor each completely, that's when you have to factor out the GCF, then do the process of making the table, splitting the B value, and so on and so forth. That is a typo right there. It should not say not. It should say you are doing this. So ignore that not. Alright, so here we go. Remember, your test is tomorrow. Make sure you're paying attention. You know how to do this. Okay? On your paper, write review for the Unit 3 Part 2 test at the top. Make sure you put your name on it. You're going to divide your paper, the front side, into 6 sections. So draw a line down the middle, and then 2 lines separating it into 6 parts. And then write example 1, example 2, example 3, example 4, example 5, example 6. If you need more time, pause it. On the back, you're splitting it in half and then dividing it in half the other way and doing example 7, example 8, example 9, and example 10. Alright, example number 1. We're going to work through this one together. Factor the common factor out of each expression. So you're finding the greatest common factor in this expression. So to do that, we're going to do like we did yesterday. We would find all the factors of each number. So for 56, we have 1 times 56, 2 times 28, 4 times 14, and 7 times 8. For 63, we have 1 times 63, 3 times 21, and 7 times 9. So if we look for our greatest common factor, the biggest one that they all have in common, it will be a 7. So 7 goes on the outside. Now, since this last term over here, this 63, does not have an x on it, our greatest common factor is just 7. There's no x. So now we write what goes in our parentheses. What do we multiply by 7 to get 56? Well, it says right here we multiply by 8. So we're going to write 8. And then we need that x to the 4th, so that x to the 4th comes down to our answer. What do we multiply by 7 to get a negative 63? Well, it says right here a negative 9. And then again, we need that x. And then what do we multiply by 7 to get negative 63? And again, that's a 9. Close your parentheses. And that is your answer. Alright, now I want you to pause the video and work through this problem on your own. Once you are done working through it, make sure you show all your work, hit play, and check your answer. You are just factoring out the greatest common factor. Alright, now that you're done with that problem, greatest common factor on this one is 3. And then in the parentheses, you should have 5x cubed minus 4x plus 1. Alright, example number 3. Another one we'll work through together. Again, we want to factor out the greatest common factor. So you're finding the greatest common factor between 64, 8, and 72. So if we write all of our factors out, for 64, we have 1 times 64, 2 times 32, 4 times 16, and 8 times 8. For 8, we have 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. And then for 72, we have several. You should have 5 different factors. Alright, if we're looking at all these, the greatest number that they all have in common would be 8. So 8 is going to go on the outside. Now on this one, they all have variables. So when we're looking at our variables here, we want to look for our smallest exponent that we have. And in this case, our smallest exponent is the 3. So our greatest common factor is going to be 8x to the third. Then again, you open your parentheses. What do we multiply by 8 to get 64? Well, we multiply it by 8, and we need 6 more x's. What do we multiply by 8 to get negative 8? That's a negative 1, and we need 4 more x's. And then what do we multiply by 8 to get 72? And that is 9. I apologize again. This should be a plus sign. Alright. So now I want you to try this one on your own. 4x cubed plus 36x squared minus 12x. Again, you are just factoring out the greatest common factor. Go ahead and hit pause until you get your answer. Once you get your answer, hit play again. Alright, now I want you to check your answer. You should have gotten 4x as your greatest common factor. And then on the inside, it's x squared plus 9x minus 3. Alright, now we're going to walk through a factor completely. So we have 4n squared plus 15n minus 54. First step is to check for a GCF. Is there a number that goes into 4, 15, and 54? In this one there is not. So we'll go straight to making the table. We want to multiply to get a times c, which is negative 216. And we want to add to get b, which is 15. So two numbers that multiply to negative 216 and add to 15. In this case it is negative 9 and 24. So we're going to rewrite our equation using the new values for our b value. So we split the b value into negative 9 and 24. Split it down the middle. Factor out the GCF of 4n squared and 9n, which is n. And then to get 4n squared minus 9n, we're going to multiply it by 4n minus 9. On the other side, the greatest common factor between 24 and 54 is 6. And then again, to get 24n minus 54, we're going to multiply 6 times 4n minus 9. So then in our answer, we're going to have a 4n minus 9 and an n plus 6. Alright, so I want you to work through example number 6 and example number 7, just like we just did the other one. Go ahead and hit pause until you get your answer. Once you get your answer, hit play and check your answers. Alright, so now that you have solved those two, your answer for this one should be x plus 3 times x plus 8. And your example for number 7 should be x minus 2, 9x minus 4. Alright. We're going to walk through this one together. First thing we want to check for is a GCF. In this one we do have a GCF, and our GCF is 2. So we factor out that 2 on the outside, and then everything on the inside multiplies to give us back our original problem. Then we make our table. 2 times 45 is 90v squared, and our b value is 19. So two numbers that multiply to 90 and add to 19, well, that would be 9 times 10. And 9 plus 10. So we're going to rewrite what's on the inside of the parentheses by splitting the b value. So we have 2v squared plus 9v plus 10v plus 45. Split it down the middle. Factor out the GCF on both sides, which is v on the left side and 5 on the right side. And then our answer is going to be 2v plus 9 times v plus 5 with a 2 on the outside. Alright, so I want you to work through these two problems. Example number 10, remember you don't have a C value, so you don't have to do the whole thing on that one. Hint, hint. Go ahead and pause the video until you have worked through both of these. Once you are done, hit play and check your answers. Alright, let's go ahead and check these answers. Example number 9, you should have 5 times 5x minus 3x plus 5. In example number 10, you should have 4x times 2x plus 1. Alright, so tomorrow is your test. You must have your review, your grade review that we did yesterday, due tomorrow. You will have time in first period to work on it. Make sure you understand what you are doing, and if you have questions, come see me during first. When you turn this paper in tomorrow that you just did, all your work needs to be shown. Remember, do not log off of the computer. See you tomorrow.